The evening sky was painted with deep shades of purple and red when the small transport ship touched down on the rocky plain. The human traveler, Captain Raynor, stepped out slowly, his boots crunching against the gravel. The air was colder than he expected, sharp against his skin, and carried the faint smell of iron. In front of him stood the lonely cabin, the one assigned to him by the exploration unit. It was supposed to be empty, untouched for months, a place of rest after long days of survey work. But as Raynor looked at it, something about the cabin felt wrong. The windows were dark, yet he thought he saw a flicker of movement inside. He took a deep breath and walked forward, his hand resting near the sidearm strapped to his hip. The cabin was small, built of metal and local stone, its roof bent under the weight of years of storms. The door creaked when he pushed it open, a sound too loud in the quiet night. He paused at the threshold, listening. The world outside was still, only the soft hum of the ship behind him. But inside the cabin, the silence felt heavier, like the air itself was holding its breath. Raynor stepped inside. The first thing he noticed was the smell. It was faint but sharp, a mixture of burnt metal and something else, like flowers but unfamiliar. His eyes scanned the room. The table in the center had a cup on it, broken into two uneven pieces. Dust should have covered it if it had been lying there for months, but the edges were clean. The chair near the table was slightly pushed back, as if someone had been sitting there only moments ago. He closed the door softly behind him. His boots made dull thuds against the floor as he walked further in. He checked the storage room, empty. He checked the small kitchen, silent. Still, he could not shake the feeling of being watched. His instincts, trained over years of military service, told him he was not alone. Then he heard it. A faint sound, almost nothing, like the soft brush of fabric against metal. His head turned quickly. The sound had come from the corner near the curtain that covered the small sleeping area. He froze, his eyes narrowing. His hand slid slowly to his weapon, but he did not pull it out. Instead, he took a step closer. The curtain swayed slightly, though there was no wind inside. "Who's there?" His voice was calm but firm, carrying through the silence. No answer came. Only the sound of his own breathing. Raynor moved closer, his steps careful. As he reached the curtain, he pulled it aside in one quick motion. The small bed inside looked untouched, the sheets flat, but the shadows in the corner shifted. For a brief moment, he caught the outline of a figure crouching low, trying to press against the wall as if to vanish into it. His pulse quickened. He was not imagining it. Something was here. "Come out," he ordered, his voice sharper now. The figure did not move. Instead, he heard a faint intake of breath, shaky and fearful. Whoever it was, they were hiding, waiting, hoping he would leave. Raynor stepped back slightly, weighing his choices. If this was another human, a lost settler or explorer, why would they hide? And if it was not human, then what had taken shelter here in his cabin? He noticed small details now. A footprint near the edge of the bed, smaller than his own. A glimmer of something metallic under the curtain, as if the stranger carried strange tools or weapons. His mind filled with questions. Was this person dangerous? Or in danger? The silence stretched, heavy and tense. His heart pounded, but he forced his voice to remain steady. "I know you're there. If you mean harm, you would have attacked already. Show yourself." The shadow shifted again. Slowly, carefully, a figure began to rise from the corner. The curtain trembled as if caught in a breeze that did not exist. He saw a hand first, slender, pale, trembling slightly. Then a face began to appear in the dim light. But it was not fully human. The eyes were too large, glowing faintly silver in the dark. Her skin seemed smoother than any human's, with faint lines that shimmered like veins of light. Raynor stiffened but did not reach for his weapon. The figure, a woman, looked terrified, not aggressive. She pressed a finger to her lips, her gesture clear. Silence. Her silver eyes darted to the door, then back at him. Raynor followed her gaze. Outside, through the cracks of the window, he thought he saw faint lights moving across the plain. Searchlights sweeping back and forth. His pulse jumped again. Whoever she was hiding from those lights. The woman crouched again, her body trembling as if every sound might bring danger crashing through the cabin. Raynor stayed still, his mind racing. He had come here expecting rest, but now he stood in the middle of something far larger than himself. The silence broke when a faint, distant hum grew louder outside. It was mechanical, steady, and it made the walls of the cabin tremble softly. The woman's eyes widened with fear. She leaned closer, whispering in a voice so soft it was almost lost in the noise. "If they find me," she said, her words trembling, "they will kill us both." Raynor's blood ran cold. Raynor stood frozen, his eyes locked on the strange woman in the corner. Her silver eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the weak light from the cabin lamp. She looked fragile, her hands trembling, her thin frame half hidden by the curtain. Yet there was something powerful about her too, something that told him she was not like anyone he had ever met. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The hum outside grew louder, and the lights beyond the window swept across the ground like hunting eyes. The woman pressed her back against the wall, her breathing sharp and shallow. She lifted one hand again, motioning for silence, begging him not to make a sound. Raynor's instinct screamed at him. He wanted to demand answers, but he forced himself to remain calm. Whoever this woman was, she was hiding for a reason, and that reason was outside, searching the plains right now. He moved slowly, keeping his voice low, almost a whisper. "Who are they?" he asked. The woman shook her head quickly, eyes wide, as if even words might betray her. She didn't answer. Instead, she crouched lower, her glowing veins pulsing faintly under her skin like light trapped inside glass. Raynor turned toward the window. The lights outside stopped moving. For a moment, the cabin was bathed in silence except for the steady thrum of his own heartbeat. Then came a sound, a sharp knock at the cabin door. The woman stiffened. She whispered so softly he almost didn't hear her. "Don't let them in, please." Raynor's mind raced. He had no idea who she was or what danger she had brought to his door. But one thing was clear. Whoever was outside was looking for her. And if she was right, letting them inside would put him in danger too. He glanced back at her. Her silver eyes begged him not to betray her. The knock came again, harder this time. A voice followed, deep and metallic, with an accent that scraped like iron. Occupant of the cabin opened the door. "This is an inspection." Raynor swallowed hard. His fingers brushed the grip of his sidearm, but he did not draw it. He stepped toward the door, moving cautiously. The woman pressed her hand flat against the wall, her glowing veins dimming slightly as if she were trying to make herself disappear. Raynor opened the door just a crack. Outside stood two figures, tall and armored, their faces hidden behind dark helmets. Their eyes glowed faint green behind glass visors. They carried weapons unlike any human design, sleek and sharp, humming with quiet energy. One of them tilted his head. "We are searching this sector. An escaped fugitive may be hiding. Have you seen anyone unusual?" Raynor's throat felt dry, but he forced his face into a mask of calm. "No, just me. This cabin was assigned for my rest. I haven't seen anyone else." The armored figure leaned forward slightly, scanning the interior with his glowing eyes. For a moment, Raynor thought the man would step inside. He stood perfectly still, his heart pounding. Behind him, he knew the woman was pressed flat against the wall, trying to remain unseen. Finally, the alien soldier straightened. "Be cautious, human. The fugitive is dangerous." His voice dropped lower, almost like a warning. "If you find her, do not trust her. She carries secrets that do not belong to your kind." Without waiting for a reply, the two soldiers turned and walked away, their armored boots striking against the ground. The glow of their visors vanished into the night. The hum of their ship engines followed soon after, fading slowly until silence returned. Raynor closed the door carefully. He turned back toward the corner. The woman was still there. Her shoulders slumped with relief, though her eyes remained sharp with fear. She looked at him as though weighing his soul. "You lied for me," she whispered. Raynor crossed his arms. "You'd better tell me why." For a long moment she didn't answer. Then she stepped forward slowly into the dim light. Her movements were graceful, almost too perfect. Her skin shimmered faintly under the glow of the lamp, and her silver eyes seemed to pierce right through him. "My name is Lyra," she said softly. "I am not from your world. Those soldiers are from my people. They are hunting me." Raynor narrowed his eyes. "Why?" Lyra hesitated. Her lips parted, but no words came. She looked down as if the truth itself was too heavy to carry. Finally she spoke. "I know something I should not know. A secret. If they catch me, they will erase it from existence. And if you stay near me, they will erase you too." Raynor felt a chill run down his spine. He had no reason to believe her, yet every part of her seemed real. Her fear, her trembling hands, the desperation in her eyes. "Then why come here?" he asked. Why hide in my cabin? She met his gaze, her silver eyes burning brighter. Because I have nowhere else to go. And because... Her voice shook. I thought humans might still choose to help even when it is dangerous. Raynor said nothing. The silence between them was heavy, filled with the weight of choices not yet made. He wanted to demand proof, to ask why her own people would call her dangerous. But before he could speak again, the hum outside returned, distant at first, then growing louder. Lyra's eyes widened in terror. She pressed her hands together, trembling. They're coming back, she whispered. They won't stop until they find me. Raynor's pulse raced. The alien patrol had not gone far. They were circling back, searching again. He looked at Lyra, then at the door, his mind torn. He had no idea who she truly was or what secret she carried. But one truth was certain. If he did nothing, they would both be caught. Outside, the lights swept across the plains once more, their glow spilling against the cabin walls. The shadows inside danced and shifted. Raynor's hand moved to his weapon. His jaw tightened. This night was no longer about rest. It was about survival. The cabin shook as the humming outside grew louder. Lights flashed through the window, sweeping across the ground like hungry eyes. Raynor's hand stayed on his weapon, his mind sharp with tension. Lyra crouched lower, clutching the edge of the table, her silver eyes wide with fear. They know I'm here, she whispered. They always know. Raynor kept his voice steady. Then we need to move now. Before she could answer, the knock came again, harder this time. The door rattled under the force, and the metallic voice shouted through the walls. Human, open this door. We will search again. Raynor's heart pounded. He looked at Lyra, who shook her head quickly. She mouthed the word no. Her glowing veins pulsed brighter with fear. The knock turned into a heavy bang, metal striking metal. The soldiers outside were not going to wait much longer. Raynor had seconds to decide. If he opened the door, they would find her. If he resisted, they might blast the cabin apart. He grabbed Lyra's hand. Back exit, he whispered. She nodded, pulling him toward the small storage room at the rear. The cabin had a service hatch that led outside, mostly used for hauling supplies. Raynor shoved the panel open, the cold night air rushing in. The searchlights outside moved in wide arcs, but for now the back was clear. Go, he ordered. Lyra hesitated, her silver eyes scanning him. You don't have to do this. If you let me go, they will leave you alive. Raynor smirked coldly. Doesn't look like they asked nicely the first time. He gestured again. Move. Together they slipped into the night, their boots crunching softly on the gravel. Behind them, the cabin door crashed open with a roar. The sound of armored boots stormed inside, metal striking metal. Shouts echoed. The soldiers had entered, but their prey was already gone. Raynor pulled Lyra behind a low ridge near the cabin. They crouched down, breathing hard. Above them, the searchlights swept closer, slicing across the ground. Lyra pressed her back against the rock, her veins glowing faintly in the dark. They will track me, she whispered. They always track me. My people can sense energy. They will feel me even here. Raynor frowned. Then we keep moving. The two sprinted across the plain, their shadows stretching long under the searchlights. The hum of the alien patrol ship grew louder as it hovered overhead. Engines rumbling. A spotlight suddenly slammed down onto the ground, barely missing them. There, a metallic voice shouted. Bolts of green energy struck the ground behind them, exploding into dust and fire. Raynor pulled Lyra toward a cluster of jagged rocks. They dove behind them as another blast scorched the earth. The rocks shook, fragments breaking loose. Raynor drew his sidearm and returned fire, the sharp crack of human tech echoing through the night. His shots hit nothing. The patrol ship was too fast, its armored hull shrugging off his bullets. But his fire forced the spotlight to swing away, buying them seconds to move. Come on, he barked. They raced into the forest beyond the plain. The ground shifted from gravel to soft soil, the air thicker with the scent of alien plants. Trees with twisted glowing leaves loomed above them. Shadows stretched in strange shapes, and every rustle of leaves sounded like footsteps. Raynor's chest burned as he ran, but he did not slow. Lyra moved with surprising grace, her bare feet barely making a sound. Still, she kept glancing back, her face pale. They will not stop, she said breathlessly. If they catch me, they will tear apart everything I know. They will burn every secret I carry. Raynor shot her a quick glance. What secret is worth this much trouble? Her eyes flickered with pain. The kind that decides if your people live or die. Raynor didn't press further. The forest around them glowed faintly with bioluminescent plants, their light eerie and beautiful. But the beauty only added to the danger. Every glow felt like it revealed their path to the hunters. Then came the sound, armored boots striking the soil behind them. The soldiers had followed. Their glowing visors lit up the trees, sweeping side to side. Raynor grabbed Lyra's arm, pulling her down a narrow path between thick roots. They slid into a hollow under a massive tree, the trunk wide enough to hide them both. They crouched low, breathing as quietly as possible. The soldiers passed close. Raynor could hear the static of their radios, the hiss of their armor. One stopped nearby, scanning the ground. For a terrible moment, Raynor thought the glowing veins in Lyra's skin would give them away. But she clenched her fists, the light dimming as if she forced it deep inside her. The soldier tilted his head, his visor glowing faint green. Then slowly he moved on. The sounds of boots faded, the patrol pushing deeper into the forest. Raynor let out a slow breath. Lyra's shoulders slumped with exhaustion. But before relief could settle, a new sound rose around them. A growl, low and rumbling, coming from the shadows deeper in the forest. Raynor's hand went to his weapon again. Lyra's silver eyes widened. "That is not them," she whispered. The growl grew louder, joined by another and then another. From the darkness, pairs of glowing eyes blinked open, circling them. The creatures of this world had found them, drawn by the noise and chaos. Raynor tightened his grip on his weapon. Behind him, alien soldiers hunted. In front of him, beasts prowled. The night pressed in, danger on every side. Lyra's voice was low, trembling. "If we survive this night, I will tell you everything." The growls closed in, shadows moving closer. Raynor set his jaw. "Then let's make sure we do." And with that, the first creature lunged from the dark. The forest exploded with chaos. A beast lunged out of the shadows, its body massive, covered in dark scales that shimmered faintly under the glowing plants. Its jaws opened wide, rows of sharp teeth flashing. Raynor fired 3 quick shots. The cracks of his weapon echoed through the night, and the creature stumbled back with a roar, green blood spraying across the ground. But another beast was already behind them. Lyra raised her hands, her silver eyes glowing brighter than before. Lines of light pulsed through her skin, and in a single motion she released a wave of energy. The beast was thrown back, its body slamming against a tree with a bone-cracking sound. Raynor turned his head, stunned. "What in hell was that?" Lyra's chest heaved, her face pale. "Later," she whispered. "We must move." They sprinted deeper into the forest, dodging between twisted roots and glowing plants. The growls of more beasts followed, but the creatures seemed wary now, circling instead of rushing in. The sounds of alien soldiers echoed too, their mechanical voices calling through the night. At last they stumbled into a small clearing. In the center stood a large stone formation, hollow inside like the mouth of a cave. Raynor dragged Lyra inside, pressing against the cool stone wall. Both of them were out of breath, their chests rising and falling in the silence that followed. For a few moments, only the sound of the wind filled the air. Then Raynor turned sharply to face her. "Enough running," he said firmly. "You need to tell me what's going on. Who are you really, and why do your people want you dead?" Lyra leaned against the wall, her glowing veins dimming as her energy faded. She looked at him with tired, haunted eyes. "You already know I am not human. My name is Lyra of the Vera. My people live among the stars, hidden from human eyes. We are older than your empires, stronger than your armies. But not all of us agree with what is coming." Raynor frowned. "What's coming?" Her voice dropped lower. "War." The word echoed in the cave, heavy as stone. Raynor shook his head. "War with who? Humans?" "Yes," she whispered. Her silver eyes glimmered with pain. "They plan to take your colonies, your cities, your world. To them, humanity is weak, spread too thin, easy to control. They will strike when you are not ready. And when they do, your kind will fall." Raynor felt a chill creep down his spine. He had heard rumors during his years of service. Whispers of unknown ships spotted at the edges of human space. But nothing had ever been confirmed. Now standing here with this strange alien woman, the rumors felt real, too real. "And you?" he asked. "Why are you running from your own people?" Lyra lowered her gaze. "Because I know the truth of their plan, and because I carry something they cannot let survive." Her trembling hands reached inside the folds of her strange clothing. When she pulled them out, she held a small device no bigger than her palm. It glowed faintly, its surface covered in shifting symbols. Raynor stared at it. "What is that?" Their weapon, she whispered, or the proof of it. With this I can warn your leaders. Show them what is coming, but if they catch me, her voice broke. They will erase it. They will erase me. Raynor studied her face. She looked desperate, exhausted, but he saw no lie in her eyes. Still, suspicion burned in him. And how do I know this isn't some trap? That you're not leading me straight to your people? Lyra stepped closer, her silver eyes fierce now. If I wanted you dead, I would have left you in that cabin. If I wanted to betray you, I would have called them already. But I didn't. I need you, Raynor, and your people need the truth. The weight of her words pressed against him. He wanted to doubt her, but something deep inside told him she was telling the truth. Her fear was too raw, her urgency too real. Before he could answer, the sound of armored boots echoed outside the cave. The glow of green visors lit the trees, moving closer. The soldiers were hunting again. Raynor raised his weapon, his jaw tightening. They're here. Lyra clutched the device to her chest. If they find me, everything is lost. The soldiers' voices grew louder, their metallic tones carrying through the forest. She is near. The fugitive is close. Search the caves. Raynor's pulse quickened. They had little time. He turned to Lyra. If what you're saying is true, then we can't stay here. We need to get this proof out back to human hands. She nodded quickly, her silver eyes burning with determination. But we must survive the night first. The first soldier stepped into the clearing outside, his visor glowing green, his weapon raised. Raynor pressed his back against the stone, silent, steady, waiting for the right moment. Lyra stood beside him, the faint glow of her veins returning as she prepared herself. The soldiers began to enter the cave, their shadows stretching long against the walls. Raynor whispered under his breath, "You'd better be worth this." Lyra's reply was soft but steady. "I am. For your world's sake, I am." The green light filled the cave. The hunters had found them. The cave lit up with the green glow of alien visors. Raynor didn't hesitate. He fired first, the sharp crack of his pistol echoing through the stone chamber. Sparks flashed as bullets struck the alien armor, forcing the soldiers to duck. Lyra pressed her glowing hands against the wall, and a pulse of energy burst outward, throwing dust and loose rocks into the air. "Go," she cried. Raynor grabbed her wrist, pulling her deeper into the cave. The soldiers shouted in their strange metallic language, their heavy boots pounding as they followed. Beams of green light swept across the wall, searching for their fleeing targets. The tunnel twisted, narrowing into jagged stone. Raynor's shoulders scraped the sides as he pushed forward, his breath short and sharp. Behind him, the soldiers fired energy blasts, the beams hissing as they scorched the rock. One strike hit close, the heat searing his arm. He gritted his teeth and kept running. Lyra's veins glowed brighter, lighting the path. Her silver eyes darted around the walls as though she knew the cave better than he did. "There's an opening ahead!" she shouted. Raynor followed her lead, his boots slipping on loose gravel. At last the tunnel widened, spilling them into the forest again. The night air was damp, heavy with the smell of strange plants. Trees loomed tall, their leaves glowing faint blue, their roots twisted like giant claws. No time to rest. Behind them, the soldiers poured out of the cave, their glowing visors cutting through the dark. Raynor cursed under his breath. "They don't quit. They never will," Lyra replied, her voice shaking but steady. "As long as I live, they will follow." They sprinted through the undergrowth, branches whipping at their faces. Strange creatures scattered at their approach, small glowing insects and lizard-like beasts that hissed from the shadows. The ground grew soft and uneven, moss glowing faintly under their feet. The hum of the alien patrol ship returned overhead, sweeping its lights across the canopy. Each beam of light sliced through the trees, searching. When one passed close, Raynor dragged Lyra to the ground, pressing her flat against the soil until it moved on. "They're tightening the net," he whispered. "We can't keep outrunning them." Lyra turned her face toward him, her silver eyes shining in the dark. "Then we must outsmart them." Before Raynor could reply, a loud roar shook the forest. The ground trembled, and from the shadows lumbered a massive creature larger than any he had ever seen. Its body was armored with thick plates, its eyes glowing orange. It lowered its head, tusks glinting, and let out another deafening roar. Raynor froze. "What the hell is that?" Lyra's voice trembled. "A guardian beast. They do not attack unless disturbed, but—" She glanced at the soldiers' approaching lights. "They will disturb it." As if on cue, green energy blasts struck nearby trees. The guardian beast roared again, charging toward the noise. The soldiers shouted, their formation breaking as the massive creature stormed into them, swinging its tusks like spears. Raynor grabbed Lyra's arm. "This is our chance." While the soldiers fought the beast, Raynor and Lyra slipped deeper into the forest. The sounds of battle faded behind them. Metallic shouts, the roar of the creature, the crack of weapons, but danger was never far. After minutes of running, they stumbled into a swampy area. The ground squelched under their boots and the air grew thick with mist. Strange glowing plants rose from the water, their stalks tall and bending like towers. The silence here was unsettling, broken only by the distant hum of the patrol ship. Raynor slowed, his chest heaving. He pressed his hand against a tree, trying to catch his breath. Lyra stood beside him, clutching the glowing device tight to her chest. "You could have left me," she whispered softly. "Why didn't you?" Raynor looked at her, his jaw tight. "Because I don't like bullies. And your people sound like the biggest bullies in the galaxy." For the first time, a faint smile touched her lips, though her eyes still burned with fear. "Then maybe I chose the right human." Before Raynor could reply, the mist stirred. Shapes moved within it, long, thin, almost human-like, but too tall. Their limbs stretched unnaturally. Their eyes glowed pale blue as they stepped silently through the swamp, surrounding the two fugitives. Raynor raised his weapon, his voice low. "Friends of yours?" Lyra shook her head quickly. "No, swamp hunters. They are not soldiers, but they are worse. They hunt anything that bleeds." The hunters circled closer, their movements graceful, silent, deadly. One of them tilted its head, letting out a clicking sound that echoed through the mist. Another raised a spear carved from bone, the tip glowing faintly. Raynor's finger tightened on the trigger. Lyra's veins glowed as she readied her power again. The tension in the swamp was so thick it felt like the air itself might snap. Then, above the mist, the green searchlight swept across the swamp. The alien patrol ship had found them again. The hunters paused, hissing at the light, their glowing eyes narrowing. Raynor's heart pounded. Trapped between the hunters and the soldiers, there was no way out. Lyra's voice was low, urgent. "There is one path left, through the heart of the swamp, but it is dangerous even for me." Raynor glanced at the hunters, then at the soldiers closing in. He took a deep breath. "Dangerous is better than dead." "Lead the way." The hunters hissed louder, stepping closer. The patrol ship descended lower, its engines shaking the ground. The swamp seemed to come alive with noise and chaos. Lyra took Raynor's hand and pulled him toward the thickest mist, where the trees bent together like a tunnel. He followed without hesitation, firing one last shot to keep the hunters back. As they vanished into the swamp's heart, the world behind them exploded with sound, soldiers, hunters, and beasts clashing in a storm of violence. Raynor knew one thing for certain. This night was far from over. The swamp closed in around them, thick with mist and silence broken only by their hurried breaths. Strange shapes shifted in the fog, roots twisting like claws, glowing insects darting past their faces. The further Raynor and Lyra went, the darker it became until even the alien patrol ship's lights vanished behind them. Raynor's boots sank into the mud, each step heavy and slow. "If this is the safe path," he muttered, "I'd hate to see the dangerous one." Lyra didn't answer. Her silver eyes glowed faintly, guiding them through the mist. She held the small device tight to her chest, her veins pulsing with light like a second heartbeat. She moved quickly, almost as if she knew exactly where she was going. Finally, the swamp gave way to stone. They stepped onto solid ground, the mist thinning as a rocky hill rose before them. At its base, half hidden by vines and roots, was a wide opening carved into the rock. The entrance looked ancient, its edges etched with symbols that shimmered faintly in the dark. Raynor frowned. "That doesn't look natural." Lyra's voice was low, reverent. "It's not. This is what I was searching for. The relic of the old ones. My people buried it long ago, but I found the path." Raynor's instincts prickled. "What exactly is in there?" Her silver eyes met his. "Hope or destruction. It depends on who controls it." Before he could ask more, she stepped inside. Raynor followed, his weapon drawn, his nerves tight. The air in the tunnel was cold and heavy, filled with the scent of dust and age. The walls glowed faintly with alien patterns, like veins of light running deep into the stone. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Raynor stopped, his breath caught in his throat. In the center of the
chamber floated a massive structure, an orb of black metal covered in shifting symbols of light. Energy pulsed inside it, low and steady, like the heartbeat of something alive. "What is this?" Raynor whispered. Lyra stepped closer, her glowing veins responding to the orb's light. "A weapon," she said softly. "One that can change the course of stars. With it, my people can wipe out entire fleets with a thought. But it is also a key. It holds knowledge of everything my people have built." Raynor's stomach tightened. "And you brought me here why? To help you use it?" She shook her head. "No, to help me keep it away from them. If they take this, humanity will fall before you even know the war has begun. But if I deliver the proof of this weapon to your leaders, maybe, just maybe, they will prepare." Raynor's eyes stayed on the orb. It hummed with power, filling the chamber with a low vibration that made his skin prickle. "How do you know humans won't just use it for themselves?" Lyra's lips trembled. "I don't. But I would rather risk your kind than see my own use it to enslave every world they find." For the first time, Raynor saw her not as a fugitive, but as someone carrying an impossible burden. She was fighting her own people, risking her life for strangers. He felt a spark of respect and unease. But before he could reply, a voice echoed through the chamber, metallic, cold. "Found you!" Raynor spun around, weapon raised. Green light spilled into the chamber as the soldiers entered, their visors glowing, their weapons ready. At least half a dozen of them poured in, their heavy boots striking against the stone floor. Lyra gasped, clutching the device tighter. The orb in the center of the chamber pulsed brighter, reacting to her fear. The lead soldier stepped forward, his voice harsh. "Fugitive Lyra of the Vera, you will return what you stole, now," Raynor muttered, teared under his breath. "We really need better timing." He fired first, his shots cracking through the air. The bullets sparked against alien armor, forcing the soldiers to spread out. Lyra raised her hands, her veins glowing white-hot, and a surge of energy burst forth, knocking two soldiers back. The orb pulsed harder, its symbols flashing violently with every blast of power. The chamber shook, dust rained from the ceiling. The soldiers opened fire, green energy bolts striking the walls, burning deep holes into the stone. One shot grazed Raynor's shoulder, the heat searing flesh. He bit back a cry, firing again with his good arm. Lyra screamed as the lead soldier charged forward. She thrust out her hands and the orb behind her responded, sending a shockwave through the room. The soldier was hurled across the chamber, smashing into the wall with a metallic crash. Raynor's eyes widened. "That thing, it's linked to you!" Lyra's face was pale, sweat dripping down her brow. "Yes, and if it overloads, it will destroy everything here, including us." The orb pulsed again, harder this time, cracks of light splitting across its black surface. The air trembled, heavy with raw energy. Raynor grabbed Lyra's arm. "Then we need to get out of here. Now!" She shook her head. "Not without the data. If we leave empty-handed, all of this was for nothing." She pressed the small device she carried against the orb. The symbols on its surface shifted, flowing into the device like liquid light. The soldiers regrouped, shouting, firing again. Raynor covered her, his pistol flashing until the magazine clicked empty. He cursed, pulling out his last clip, knowing it wouldn't be enough. The orb pulsed one last time, and then the device in Lyra's hands glowed brightly. She pulled it away, clutching it to her chest. "I have it," she cried. Raynor didn't wait. He shoved her toward the tunnies. "Move!" Together they sprinted as the chamber shook violently. Behind them, the orb cracked open, energy spilling out in waves of blinding light. The soldiers screamed as the power consumed them, their bodies thrown like rag dolls. Raynor and Lyra burst into the tunnel, the roar of collapsing stone chasing them. The ground shook under their feet, the walls splitting apart. They ran until their lungs burned, until at last the night air hit their faces again. Behind them, the hill collapsed, a blast of light shooting into the sky. The swamp trembled, and the forest animals cried out in fear. Then, silence. Raynor leaned against a tree, panting, his shoulder bleeding. Lyra stood beside him, clutching the glowing device. Her silver eyes burned with determination. "This," she whispered, "is what they fear. This is why they will never stop hunting me." Raynor looked at the smoking ruins in the distance. His jaw tightened. "Then we'd better make sure we stay ahead of them." Above, the alien patrol ship circled back, its lights sweeping once more. The hunt was far from over.